We left off last video getting our order UI in place, but what do we show when they haven't added any items to their order, or maybe they've deleted all their items from the order? Well, that's where we're going to create this empty state that you see here on the screen. Now, empty states are very common in apps, right? Anytime you just have a empty data, you don't want to just have a blank screen. You want to have a nice, graphic and a message letting the user know what to do, to populate data on this screen. So we're going to make this empty state reusable to where we just pass in an image and a message. That way you could, change the image and the message accordingly. So here in our views folder, hit new group. We'll call it empty states, because you may have a different style of empty states throughout your app. You never know. New file in the empty states. It's going to be a Swift UI view. Hit next. We're going to call this empty state. Create. Cool. Here we go. Resume on the preview just to get the basics up there. Great. Now pulling up the design, it's a real simple view, and it's going to be similar to what we did on the spinner view, how we had a color as the background, and that background is going to be system background in a Z stack. Forgot to mention that, right? The background is the Z stack. On top of that is going to be our V stack that holds our image and our message. So that's the basic structure. So to start that, let's do a Z stack around our text hello world. This is what happens when you have two views out there. You get all those two previews. So again, in our Z stack, the first thing we want to have is our color. And we want to initialize that with .system background, because again, we want this to be black and dark mode, white and light mode. And we want to make sure we do .edges, ignoring safe area .all. And the reason being, say instead of system background, we just did blue, right? Well, we are ignoring safe areas. Let's comment that out. And you can see, right, we want it to fill the whole screen. We don't want it to look weird like that. So I know that's review, but I like to reiterate. So that's why we want to do edges ignoring safe area and .system background for our color. So that is the base layer of our Z stack, right, our color. So on top of that color, we want to have a V stack for our image and our message. So V stack and image. What image do we want? Well, it doesn't exist yet. So we need to add that image. So on your XC assets, and by the way, the image, it'll be called empty order. It'll be attached to the video. So download that image, drag it into your XC assets like I'm about to do right now. So in Finder, we have empty order PNG, drag that in, and then you should see this little list receipt type looking thing. So go back to empty state, and the title of the image is now empty order. In quotes. Hit try again on the preview. Hit resume on the preview. There we go. Just like all of our images, super large, right? We need resizable. We need to do all of our typical image stuff here. So here we'll do .resizable, .scaled to fit. And now we want to give it a specific height. The width doesn't matter because it's more of a vertically oriented image. So we'll do frame with a height of 150. I'm sorry, that was width. I want height of 150. Got to be careful. So we can delete the whole width because we're going to leave that nil, delete the alignment, and we're good. And that's just a styling choice. If you want your image to be super huge and fill up the whole screen, go for it. I like the minimalist feel, so I don't like it to be too big. But our image is set up. Now we need to set up our message, which is a text. So if I go text with a string, let's say this is our default message. We're gonna fix this later, but we're working on the layout. Let's do font, and we'll do title 3 maybe. We're gonna kind of play around here. Okay, title 3 font weight of semi bold. And this message could be long, so we want to do multi-line text alignment .center. So if it does line wrap, we want it to be centered, not left or right aligned. And we do want the foreground color to be .secondary. We want it to be this like gray color. And then for my taste, it's pushed up a little bit too close to the image, so I want to add some padding all around, because I also don't want the message to go all the way to the edge of the screen. We want some padding there. Cool, that's the basic structure of our empty state. Now let's make this reusable like I said. So our empty state is going to take in two parameters. It's going to take in let image name equal, be of type string, and then now empty order will be image name, and then our message is also going to be a string, so let message equal string. And then, okay, default message will now be message. Okay, so that's how it's reusable. When we create our empty state, we're gonna have to pass that in. which again, our preview is going to have to take that kind of stuff too. So fix, the image name here will be empty order. The string will be, this is our test message. I'm making it a little long for testing. Hit resume. And you can see how our text now wraps. It's centered. We got the padding so it doesn't go too far. And if you wanted to, just a little, I like to do this with my messages, right? I don't like how the period is right there. This is a little sidebar. I like to do, /n to add a line space. You can kind of break the line at the period, right? This is our test message. I'm making it a little long for testing. I usually like to do that. I find that easier to read. Just a little small tip. So now that we got the view built, let's actually, put this into action here. So on our screens, let's go to back to our order view. Now, so we're going to do something similar to what we did on the loading view, right? We're gonna smack this empty state on top of everything if basically our order items.count equals 0, or we're going to use is empty, but that same idea. So now we want a Z stack as our root, and let's drag everything, the V stack here in there, and our navigation title is on the Z stack. So the base layer of our Z stack, right, is the V stack that we've already built, the list and the button. Again, we want to smack the empty view on top of that. So that's the top part of our V stack here. So moving up here, now we want to do if order items dot is empty. So we only want to show this if order items is empty. And then now we'll show empty state, right? But empty state takes in two parameters, the image name and the message. So the image name is going to be empty dash order. And then the message will be, you have no items in your order. Please add an appetizer. Okay, so to run through that one more time, when this redraws, right, and it's going to redraw at the moment every time our order items change. So because we have this mock data in here, the first time you come here, there's going to be orders in there because there's mock data. But once we're done building like kind of the real functionality, until they've added an order, we're going to see the empty state. But for now, the only time we're going to see an empty state is if we use our onDelete, right? We swipe to delete 3 times, then order items will equal 0. This will redraw. It's going to go into this if statement because now order items is empty. It's going to smack our empty state on top of everything, showing our empty state view. In theory, let's run it and see if it works. Okay, so going to our order, again, this is our mock data. If we didn't have the mock data, we should see our empty state here because order items would be empty. Okay, swipe to delete, gone. Swipe to delete, gone. Moment of truth. So every time I swipe to delete, our order items is changing. So it's triggering a view redraw. So now when we trigger the view redraw, order items is going to be empty. We should see our empty state. There we go. That was a little fast because I didn't get a chance to delete. But yes, you see our empty state now. You have no items in your order. Please add an appetizer. And again, here's another example. I didn't do the /n here to make that please add an appetizer go to the next line. We're going to do that real quick. So down here, /n. There we go. That just looks a little neater. Hit play. Order. Again, we'll test this. Swipe to delete. Swipe to delete. Swipe to delete. Cool, now our empty state shows you have no items in your order, please add an appetizer. Now for my taste, again, this is purely subjective. This feels a little low on the screen, even though it's centered. Back to what we talked about, how like it's only centering from the navigation bar down, right? So it looks lower than centered. So I want to bump it up a little bit. So we're going to talk about a new modifier we haven't really talked about yet, at least I don't think, called offset. So we'll stop this, go back to our empty state, and we're going to add an offset to our V stack to push it up just a little bit. So we can do .offset, and you can see it takes an X or a Y. We don't care about the X. We want it to be centered. We just care about the Y. So we need to give this a value that will push it up a little bit. All right, so hit resume on this. Get rid of that so we can see this in action. So put 10 in there, but a positive number will push it down. Like let's use 100, right? See how it gets pushed down? We use 200, right, to really push it down. But you can see the frame of the thing is still there. It's just pushing it down a little bit. We don't want 200. We probably want like -50. And again, this is me just playing around. And that, to me, looks good. Again, we're just bumping it up just a little bit. Let's run it to see it with the navigation bar in place to get the real deal look here, right? Delete, delete, delete. That's, okay, perfect. At least for me, for my taste, right? It's just like a little above center. I feel like that looks really good for an empty state. And that was just a quick introduction to offset. Again, you can kind of nudge things left or right, up or down by using that offset there. Okay, so our empty state is in place. Let's resume this here. Let's move on to actually, building this order object so we can get the functionality. Again, where on the home screen, we're adding appetizers to our order. Those orders that we add are showing up in the order view, and then we can swipe to delete. Our total is going to be calculated, all that good stuff to really bring this app together.